Greetings, and welcome to The Thirsty Mage, the podcast that had to cancel its recording session this week. I'm your host, David Lloyd, and it's a Long Island iced tea for one tonight, as it's incredibly difficult to reschedule a podcast recording in the heart of the summer. So, it's just me tonight. I'm going to be doing my best to try to keep the patrons and everyone at home listening entertained for an episode on my own. I can tell you this isn't the first recording I've tried with this one, so we're going to give it a go, see how it goes. Maybe do about 20 or 30 minutes of updating what my game of the year is now. If anyone follows the Thirsty Mage on Twitter, they would have seen that I tweeted maybe a controversial tweet today about the AI, the Somnium Files Nirvana initiative should being in the game of the year discussion. So if you haven't headed over to the website, you can see my thoughts on that. And I suppose I might have just spoiled one of the games on my list there. But I guess I'll go through what I would consider the game of the year's contenders so far this year. I'll probably do 5 in chronological order and in order of release, as far as I can remember. Sometimes the year goes so quick that it becomes a blur. And I didn't look up the release dates of each one, so I'm just trying to go by memory of some of the games. I actually was going through my, again, talking about the Twitter account, I have a thread going that shows all the completed games that I've done this year, and it was very helpful because there's a couple games that I forgot were released in 2022. I feel like I played them a lifetime ago, so I had to add them to the list because I couldn't believe I had forgotten about them. And to the point where I almost felt like, man, it feels like I played it so long ago that maybe I should start up another playthrough. But unfortunately, I got to review a couple of review games going on, and then playing some Xenoblade still. And I guess maybe I'll even talk about a little bit about follow up to last week's Xenoblade talk with some spoiler free again. Going through how it feels and how things are going. So I guess I'll kick it off with the first game on my list. And this one might be a surprising one. I know it hasn't gotten a whole lot of buzz this year. It kind of didn't hit very well either. I know it was a little... it had a lot of mixed reviews, I suppose. And this is Monarch from NIS America. Pretty sure I must have talked about it on one of the episodes way back when, but this is a very Persona feeling game. It has kind of the that aspect to it where you have high school student going through I guess like basically the high school has kind of been taken over by a demonic entity, and you're basically making your way through. Where it differs and with Persona 5 obviously is it's not a turn-based classic JRPG. This is Monarch is real-time strategy, I guess, or not like turn-based strategy, I suppose. Very Fire Emblem like. I know where a lot of people kind of fell off with this one was that I guess maybe like the writing or the story kind of turns the people off. And I mean, I can see that. It kind of... I enjoyed it, but I can see how it wouldn't be everyone's cup of tea. But the thing that I keep coming back to, and the thing that I missed the most about Monarch was the combat. Like the going through that style. Like it's just set up in a way where if you really learn the mechanics and take your time with it and really get in tune with it, you can kind of break the system. You can really have a lot of fun with it. The way it's set up is you have like these skeletons that are kind of like your army, I guess you'd say, to a certain extent, because the main character controls a number of skeletal warriors on top of the partner that you have at the time. And they all have different unique abilities, and you can kind of build them into different ways. You can equip them with different items and stuff so that you can mix and match. And basically, like they chain attacks on top of each other. So if you have, one of your characters is standing next to the enemy, you can have a second character, go in and do an attack, and depending on the attack, it could trigger a follow-up attack by all of your allies that are kind of in attacking range. So you can really get some neat combos going. So yeah, I know in the final battle of the game, it took me a few tries to get it, but it's basically, that's kind of how I ended up beating that final boss. Is you get 5 or 6 people right in there, right in the boss's face, and then you trigger those chains, and you can get some real damage going, and you can set up like healing and all sorts of things. Set up putting the enemy and yourself into different statuses and that sort of thing. So tons and tons of strategy. I think if you're kind of a strategy buff, it's definitely a game worth playing. So we have that. Next on my list, and again, this is in chronological order because this next game I think is going to be the runaway winner for the game of the year, and that's Elden Ring. So yeah, this is just because of the scope of the game, the pretty much universal critical acclaim of the game. That this, From Software has always kind of been, it's always gotten a lot of positive reinforcement, or a lot of positive buzz from, everyone in the industry, the video game industry and that sort of thing. Like it's kind of an, fan favorite sort of thing. So it's one of these things. It's the highest profile game kind of out there now. So I don't think there's going to be a whole lot that's going to be able to dethrone this one. I would probably I don't know if I would necessarily call it my personal favorite game of the year. I think it's probably deserving of the award just based on the scope of the game. Like, it still boggles my mind how big this game is. I didn't even actually get to finish it because it's too big. Like, it's massive. Like, it's just, I think I had like 50 or 60 hours into it. And I don't even feel like I scratched the surface. I think I took out just 2 or 3 of kind of the main bosses and probably still had like 5 or 6 left. So yeah, it's just too big for me. But I think where it really shines is that, again, like the sheer size of the game, that is just absolutely loaded with content. There's no real, walking around and nothing there. There's always something to do, something to explore. So they really nailed the exploration. The combat, I think they've fine-tuned it enough. Like, there's always that fine line between the people who are kind of like the hardcore Dark Souls fans who want that punishing, difficult combat, and then the kind of like outsiders, I guess, that want to get into the game because it's really neat, but maybe get turned off because it's just too punishing. And I think Elden Ring is the game that really straddles that line best. Like, I think this is their best game out there to date, that allows both it gives something for both kind of camps of people to enjoy. So, if you're really into that difficult, you can kind of stick to the traditional combat styles or the combat builds or whatever you want. And then for people kind of outside, which I would consider myself, because I've never really been great at the mastering the combat in a Dark Souls game. It lets me be a magic user, so I can really I'm more of a glass cannon character where I have built up my magic really, really tough and kind of put everything into the magic, kind of hitting fast, hitting hard. So that's how I was defeating most of the bosses, is with like very powerful magic. So, and then conjuring up. I think the conjuring of a character, like the spirits in the boss battles, is really good because it gives, like for a build like mine, where you're kind of that glass cannon where you need to get in a lot of hits very quickly before you kind of get wrecked. It gives gives a few minutes or a few moments for a character to kind of distract the boss, I guess, so that you can kind of go in and do your thing. So yeah, I think again, Elden Ring, I think From Software kind of nailed it. I think this is their best game that they've made, and I think they're gonna run away with a whole lot of awards at the Game Awards, and even just in general for the just media outlets picking. I think you're gonna see a lot of media outlets picking this one for their game of the year. So I'll go on to number 3, and this is Triangle Strategy. So this is terrific game. I think it does everything right. I think it nails the story. It has a very engaging story. Very I love the variety and with like all the different paths and forks in the road that can change the game, makes it replayable. I think it's probably the best environment, like the turn-based strategy, like the environmental based strategy, like being able to with the environments, like just manipulating them, with the freezing different squares or setting them on fire, or you're setting up puddles so that you can chain together like an electrical attack in the ground, utilizing different attacks and building up different strategies depending on the team. I just think it does a really good job of that. I love that there's missions that are actually like how you go about winning the battle can actually affect the outcome of the story. Like there's early on where you're attacking in a town and you have the choice of defending the town just the way it is, or kind of setting the town on fire and taking out the enemy with it. So it's neat in the sense where, if you kind of take the lazy route, I guess, to a certain degree, and just burn down the city and take out the enemy with it, it kind of backfires in the sense where that, now you've just displaced your kingdom, so they have nowhere to live. So I don't even know what happens in that case, because I ended up opting not to burn down the town. I know when you don't burn down the town, they are very grateful that they still have homes. So I ended up going that route. I still need to do I know that there's like tons of endings depending on what path you take and who you align with and that sort of thing. But I do know that there is I don't know if you consider like the best ending or the intended ending, however you want to, talk about it. I looked it up because like I think it'd be pretty hard to kind of fall into it naturally. I don't think too many people would make the choices specifically needed in order to get this particular ending. So I think it's one of those things where you probably should go online if your intention is to get this true ending. I suppose you could just look it up on YouTube, but there's a lot of little things along the way I suppose you'd want to see. But yeah, I would say just to look up the choices that need to be made and just kind of set them aside while you're playing through it. The playthroughs are, I think it's about 30 hours it ended up taking me. And then I did start a second playthrough to get that true ending, because that's what I wanted to do. And you can get through it way faster when you're skipping cutscenes, like of stuff you've already seen. So I know I was flying through it pretty quick. So, the second playthrough is obviously not going to take as long. So yeah, that's my number 3 so far. My next one, I guess this one did release next chronologically. So this is AI, the Somnium Files Nirvana Initiative. So yeah, I talked about in the intro there that I did write a review for this game that's on the Thirsty Mage website if you want to take a look. I really don't get into the game itself, more just kind of wax poetic about how great it is, because there's not a whole lot you can say about the game without spoiling it. Like it's one of these games that's all about the experience. So maybe we'll just talk a little bit about the original game. Again, I'm not going to spoil anything, because the story is such an important part of the experience. But the first game was in 2019, and in 2019 this really was my personal game of the year. I was under no illusion that it would actually get any kind of industry the same reception from the industry. I guess I knew it wasn't going to be winning no awards, but this is my personal favorite game that year. And it featured Konami Date, the detective, who I guess if I was to compare him to someone, just to kind of give you an idea, it would kind of be almost a Deadpool type personality, I guess. So just, I guess, kind of, I suppose what I'm saying is that if they were to make a movie of AI, then I think Ryan Reynolds would be the perfect Kanama Date. But yeah, it was basically the way the game works is that there's in the first game, there's the Cyclops serial killings, and it's mostly a visual novel, but there's what happens is that as Date is investigating the case, he comes across people who don't want to willingly give out information. So he will go take them into into police headquarters and basically enter their mind. So you have 6 minutes, not 6 real-time minutes. It's like 6 in-game minutes to explore the dreams or the minds of suspects or characters or whatever, and basically I would compare it to like an escape room where there's items around in the area that you interact with, and you kind of have to find your way through the dream or through or to get out of it or whatever, to basically exploring the dream to find the information that's relevant to the case. And yeah, so it's terrific. The story was great, the pace was great. There's a whole cast of characters that's amazing. The voice acting is phenomenal. Like it's quite surprising how well it is. It seems the game like Spike Chunsoft has made a lot of good games. I don't know how big a developer they are, so that's why I was kind of surprised at how well they were able to get like the voice actors they picked are amazing, and whoever's directing. I guess I should have looked this up before the podcast, but whoever directs the voice acting definitely deserves a lot of praise, as well as like Ushikoshi for the writing. So it's first game was terrific. So this one, Nirvana Initiative, the sequel, when it first came out, I didn't buy it right away because I actually was a little, I don't know if I'd say skeptical, but it was more like the first game was so good that I was a little bit concerned about. If the second game didn't kind of meet the same standards or meet the same expectations, kind of ruining that first experience. So it was more of a guarding my first experience. Like I didn't want to ruin that. So I was a little hesitant to play this sequel. The reason I actually ended up playing it was because I guess the game's been out for a month before I played it, I suppose, or about a month, I guess. And Spike Chunsoft actually sent codes to the Mage to review the game. So I was like, well, I have no excuse not to play it now. So I ended up playing it, and phenomenal. It's just as good as the second. It's a much different experience. I think Ushikoshi was pretty brave to not have Date as the main protagonist. So Date is in the game, but is a background character, and really not even. I wouldn't even say like a very present one. Like Date is in, and every time Date is in, always has great lines. But the main protagonists of this game are Ryuki and Mizuki. So Mizuki, for anyone who played the first game, is the I don't think she was like officially adopted by Date, but she's like the teenage daughter of characters from the first game. I'll just say they were friends with Date. Some bad things happened, so she's kind of just living with Date, sort of like an adopted daughter, I guess, but not exactly, because Date is not exactly a great parent. So in this game, Mizuki has joined Abyss, the police division that Date is part of, and Ryuki is kind of like a new recruit who looks up to Date as kind of like a inspiration. Like Date would, I guess, is technically the superior to, or at least like a senior to Ryuki anyway. And I trying to explain how you interact as them is kind of a spoiler, so I don't want to really get into too much. What I'll say though is that half of the game, half of your playtime will be as Ryuki, and the other half will be as Mizuki. Is the way I will put it. And they're both terrific, and they both have strengths and weaknesses, and so there's no so it's an equal enjoyment throughout the game. It still has the somniums, or the kind of like escape room moments where you have to, fish for information from somebody's mind. So you still kind of have that. But there's a whole lot more, I guess, like quick time events during cutscenes. So it has a few of those. A lot more cutscenes that's involved. So that's nice actually. But it basically, I guess, at the end of the day, what you have is the same spiritual. Like it's a different experience, but it still has that same spirit. It still has that positivity that the first AI was kind of known for. So I would say, for fans of the first one, you'll have just as much fun with the second. So don't sit on it like I did. Don't worry, it's not going to ruin your first experience if you really enjoyed the first one. Just go ahead and play the second one. And for anyone who didn't play the first one, who's thinking about the second one, this is a completely separate story. There's really nothing about the first one that you need to know to enjoy the second one. There might be some backstory that would make things more in context if you played the first one. But there's actually like a little thing right off the bat, where the game asks you if you've played the first game, and if you say yes, it'll quiz you on details to make sure that you actually did play the first game. And so if you actually do end up getting them correctly, I think 3 out of the 4 questions I knew, but the 4th one I had to look up because of my it was been 3 years, and they were getting pretty detailed on a couple of those questions, so I had to look it up. But really, the only thing is that there's a few references to the first game that will be removed if you haven't played the first one. So it's if you have played the first one, you'll notice them. They're very, very pronounced, very obvious. What gets taken out, and it's not a whole lot. It's just some very specific references to spoilers in the first game. So if you haven't played the first, but you're curious about the franchise and you just want to pop into the second one, it works. It's another serial killing detective mystery, so it's definitely worth your time. So yeah, I'll I guess I'll end with that. And like I said, if you just kind of want to get I basically just talked about my feelings about the game more than the game itself and why it's worth playing, if you head over to the thirstymage.com website. And yeah, so I guess the 5th game, which I'm still playing through, is Xenoblade Chronicles 3. This will definitely be in the Game of the Year conversations. I don't think it's Elden Ring. I don't think it's going to top Elden Ring on too many lists. I do think it's good. The things that I enjoyed about Xenoblade Chronicles early on. I think when we did our recording last week, I was in Chapter 2 and about 10 hours in. Now I'm probably another 10 hours. I'm probably around a little over 20 hours now, and I'm nearing the end of Chapter 4. And, I still have generally the same feelings as before. I think the battle system is I don't know, it's good enough. I don't know if it's great. I'm playing on the default difficulty. I haven't had any trouble with any battles, really. One of the things that I learned that's I kind of joked as a cheat, but it's not really a cheat, is that if you do a chain attack at the end of a battle, it goes into overkill, and if you do enough attacks in the chain attack, overkill will actually multiply your experience. So you could get I think it goes up to 700% increase in experience. So if you're going into a boss battle, if you end a boss battle, or if you fight some of the more powerful enemies on the map, and you finish those battles with a chain attack that goes into overkill, and you start multiplying those experience points, you're just skyrocketing the levels. So it's a good way to avoid grinding for a lot of people. If you're doing this often, so it just eliminates a lot of need for fighting weaker enemies. You don't to level up or whatever. So you got that. You can do that. The exploration I'm kind of meh on. it just feels like most of the stuff is all kind of looking the same. Like the detail in the environment, like it does look pretty. Like there's when you look at the background, you see the big mountains and you see the Urian head or whatever, and you see the sword, and it looks nice generally. But then if you start focusing on the details of the environment around you, like the ground is pretty low poly, or whatever you want to call it, low detailed. Like it's when people were giving me a hard time about Trails of Cold Steel and that sort of thing looking like a PS2 or PS3 era game, and in today's day and age, like Xenoblade is even worse than that to me. Like it's pretty low detail. Everything kind of has looked the same to me mostly so far when you're just walking around kind of the mountainy areas. There's been a couple like caves, and again, I don't want to get into spoilers, but it's I don't know, like I guess I'll just say the colony areas. They all kind of look the same to me so far. So 20 hours in, and like halfway through the game, because I'm pretty, from looking up how many chapters there are, I believe there's like 7 or 8, and I'm already near the end of 4, so I've got to be around the halfway point. I'm just not overly impressed with how much the things to look at in the exploration has been. I've been doing some of the hero quests and that sort of thing, and that's where the bread and butter is in the story and the interactions. So getting the heroes has been fun. Probably got I don't know how many it is, like 4 or 5 heroes now, and working on getting the classes and leveling up that way. Haven't really gone into, like, ever since they showed me how to make gems or how to equip items. I don't even know if I've gone back into the items there. I have to remind myself often to go into the skill tree for the Ouroboros like machines, because I always forget to unlock that stuff. So I mean, a lot of this stuff kind of feels fillery, especially like all the items that are like strewn about on the ground, like that still is kind of annoying. I guess the point of it is to satisfy the quests to increase your affinity with the colonies and that sort of thing, but it's just kind of feeling a little tacked on to me. Music still is pretty good. I would just call it good. I still don't think it has the same emotional highs as the second game. So I mean, that's just me personally. I know a lot of people are really high on it, but it just doesn't have the same emotion for me, I don't think. But like I said, I'm still halfway through it. I still think it deserves that conversation of being one of the best games this year, and we'll see how it ends. But so far, it definitely feels like the majority of how good it is mostly in the story so far, and the interactions between the characters, like, that's definitely top notch. The voice acting is great for this one too, so that's good. There's been I know a few different questionable quality of accents, especially for people from countries that recognize them. But I mean, would it be Xenoblade without bad accents? Like, you gotta have them somewhere. But yeah, I think for 2022 so far, this is a pretty strong list. I think those are a lot of great games, and we've had a ton of great stuff so far. I know we have a lot of great games that are coming soon. We got the Deerfield Chronicle coming out, I believe, in September, if I remember correctly, because I just downloaded the demo and I'll be starting that up soon. Hearing great things on Twitter about the demo, so I'm really excited about that one. And then we got Harvestella coming out, Pokemon, lot of great games that are coming out by the end of the year. So there might even be some more competition coming forward. I wouldn't be surprised if a couple of the games that are coming out end up bumping a couple of the games off my list here. So we'll see. I don't think Elden Ring is going to have to worry too much, about being dethroned, but I guess we will find out. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed listening to me ramble on for about 30 minutes here. Through the power of editing, you wouldn't have noticed that my voice is starting to crumble under the the fact that I've been talking for 30 minutes straight. It's one of those things when you're when you're having a podcast with 3 or 4 other people and you're taking turns talk, your voice gets time to rest. So learn something new tonight. But we moving forward, we're going to try to get a couple recordings in the books next week, so that if we run into another emergency reschedule, you won't be stuck with just me. We'll have some banked in the for emergency use. But yeah, thanks. I want to just thank everyone for listening. Hopefully you made it to the end here, and hope everyone is having a great summer or a great winter, depending on where you're living. And we'll keep on playing in some Xenoblade. I know we'll have that Live Alive spoiler cast coming up soon. I'm sure we'll have a Xenoblade 3 spoiler cast. Maybe even an AI spoiler cast, because I know Paige enjoyed that quite a bit. But if there's any games that we haven't talked about that maybe we've missed this year, love to hear what your game of the year is. If it's not one of those 5, hit us up on Discord or on the Thirsty Mage Twitter account. The links to those are on the Twitter account at the Thirsty Mage. And you can come tell me why my picks are wrong, or if you've got some other picks, or if you think Elden Ring is overrated. I don't know. I haven't heard anyone say that one yet, so it'll be interesting. If someone has an argument for it, I'd love to hear it. But thanks for listening to my 35-minute ramble on here, and we'll see you next week at the next Thirsty Mage. Bye.